As you know, since Mr. Massey tendered his resignation in July of this year, we've been on the hunt for a new superintendent of schools for here from Madison County. First of all, I want to thank the Alabama Association of School Boards for their due diligence in finding us 5 excellent candidates to interview initially. We narrowed that down to 3 people, Mr. A.J. Buckner, Dr. Tim Gwynn, and Mr. Allen Perkins. All 3 candidates were excellent candidates. It's been a very difficult decision. As I told the board a few moments ago, this has been kind of a grueling last couple of months. I'm very proud of the board for the way that they've conducted themselves throughout this entire process. I appreciate their support. I appreciate their candor. I appreciate all they've done to make it as smooth as possible. And I believe that we will have an excellent candidate or an excellent superintendent moving forward. I'd like to open up to the board. If anybody has any comments or questions they'd like to make at this time, I'll open it up to the board and let them speak freely.
Well, I'd like to thank, first of all 5 candidates. It takes a lot to put yourself out there, especially on a public platform. And so I appreciate all of them. I appreciate all those who applied, but for those who took the time to interview and come here and write some rather lengthy essays to our questions, I want to say what a great deal of respect I have from my community. I had many phone calls. I know there is a group of women right now praying, making sure that we make prayerful, God-driven decisions in order to anoint and appoint our next superintendent.
Oops.
I know. I'll preach that for a minute. But above all, the fellow board members up here, we did not all agree every moment of this interview process, nor did we agree on every qualification of every candidate. But I am thankful that I never doubted the honesty and the purity of their agenda. Every board member up here certainly kept in the forefront what was best for students. And I just can say that I know moving into this decision that I am working with 4 other people who I truly respect and have no doubt will remain honest to that. So thank you all. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Dave, I think you've done a great job taking us through this process. I've done it before. It was very well organized, and it's not easy, and I'm sure your day job will be glad to have you back.
Thank you, Mary Louise. I appreciate it. It's been a pleasure and an honor. Anybody else?
Dave, again, I appreciate your leadership, and I do appreciate getting to know all these candidates, listening to their stories, having breakfast with them, spending some intimate time with them, and actually really, you wish you could almost cobble all 3 together to create one superintendent. I know we've had that conversation. Unfortunately, you can't build a superintendent, but we certainly had a great set of candidates. I appreciate their insight and their wisdom, and I look forward to our next superintendent.
And appreciate all your efforts too, Dave. You've done a good job. And yeah, I liked each of the candidates, really all 5. They all brought unique things to the table. And I think we all recognize the excellence in the candidates, and I think we'll have a good superintendent going forward.
Thanks. Just for everybody's edification, when we did the initial interview process, as Nathan alluded to, breakfast, lunch, we had the candidates for 12 hours, I think. They roughed it out with all 5 of us at some point throughout the course of that day, and then we brought them in for the initial interviews. So we got to know them beyond just what some of you saw either that evening or on the videotape. So we got to know them very well, and they were all wonderful people to meet and greet, and they all have education truly in their heart, and I know that in their home cities and home counties that they do tremendous jobs for the education of our children. So without any further ado, if there's any additional comments or questions?
I will say to Angie's point, I am very pleased that our community reached out to us. I know several of us got notified. I received several phone calls, emails, and our community is paying attention. And so to see that is really valuable to me, and I appreciate all the responses, the calls, the text messages at all times of day and night, because it's really added some feedback and value to me.
4:45 a.m.
Well, and I think to your point, we've got some community leaders in our audience this evening that are here to watch this process. It's a very important process, and we appreciate their support. So without further ado, I move to appoint Mr. Allen Perkins as Superintendent of Madison County School System effective the 4th of November, 2019. I need a second.
Second.
I have a second. I'm going to go ahead and do a roll call vote. Mr. Curry?
Yes.
Ms. Rucker?
Yes.
Ms. Stowe?
Yes.
Ms. Bates?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. I'd like to congratulate Mr. Perkins on his selection to be the next superintendent of schools for Madison County. I want to thank Mr. Buckner and Dr. Gwynn for their time, for their energies, and for the opportunity for us to get to know them. I wish them both the best of luck in their endeavors and in their futures. Without further ado, I need a motion to adjourn.
So move.
All those in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. A second,
I-
second.
Angie second. Thank you.